Welcome to the shitposting hour that is Collective Power Hour with Muerte and Ivan. It's getting real Latin in here real quick.
Mm, and that's how I like it. You know what I mean? We like our
Yeah,
fellow white brethren and sisters, but we got to rock with the people of color
yeah. Need
always.
some need some brown, some melanin up in here. None of those others. Did
Those
you
others.
know did you know that Trotsky had that dog in him?
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna send you something in your Discord. I just saw a TikTok because all my concern with Trotsky is that he deserved at the end. But like, do you know who Frida Kahlo is?
That
Yeah, I'm gonna
name's
send you the
super
picture. You'll
familiar.
recognize her.
Okay.
I'm gonna send it to you because I just heard about this and I just looked it up and it's true. And I just feel like I'm living in like topsy turvy world. Yeah, I sent it to you. Text message.
Oh, text message on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way you could play it uh on the screen share because I'm live on TikTok right now.
Not on the iPad over here, but I'll just read it out to you and I'll throw it into the description. Leon Trotsky and Frida Kahlo, the Russian revolutionary affair with the icon of global feminism. So, I mean, how is this going to show up on here? Oh, yeah, not too crazy, actually.
Yeah, people always tend to ship them, although I think they did have a small relationship when Trotsky was in Mexico, but eventually Frida got realized he was trash. Also, he Frida's painted Stalin. She has openly praised Stalin
Yeah.
and the USSR. So it's like people like weaponizing Frida. Like Frida, oh Frida liked Trotsky more. Like okay, well if you actually know
Mm,
the history, she realized how much bullshit Trotsky's theory was, and rightfully so. W Frida.
yeah. And I never understood, like, how people can perpetuate Trotskyism. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't know. Maybe you can explain it to me better.
I think. Well, I think what like what comes to mind is um when people okay, I'll give you the forward kiss after.
You
When
gotta do it.
people like to like they love Trotskyism because a lot of Trotskyist organizations like IMT they'll mention how Mao isn't a communist. Like IMT recently dropped an apparel video on Twitter, and it's been
Hmm.
it's been making its rounds on Twitter. Marx Lenin's Twitter was clowning them into the entire time they were getting ratioed, but they were talking about how Mao wasn't a communist, and they even
Hmm.
talk about how Cuba and Fidel weren't communists. Basically anyone who isn't Trotsky and Lenin and Marx and Engels basically weren't communists in their books. So
Right.
they're like,
But
but yeah, they appeal to like liberalism in a way that they appeal to the propaganda. So they'll mention how Stalin's an authoritarian, fascist, and he was evil, and so that's how I think they garner support because they'll get like the sock dem types who want to go a little bit more like radical, and they're
right.
they're still like questioning Marxism, Leninism because of Red Scare propaganda. So their safe option is to go down the Trotsky lane, which is almost like going like becoming a liberal almost because a lot of the
Yeah.
times they spew USS or anti-communist propaganda, and believe it or not, people always like to get it mixed up. Lenin didn't hate Stalin. Lenin hated Trotsky. Trotsky used to be a Menshevik. Literally, Trotsky plotted on Lenin's death, and they caught
Mm.
him. And so
Well,
it's crazy when people are like, "Oh, well, Lenin actually hated Stalin." It's quite the opposite, actually.
yeah. I don't know. But I like what you said. Like how it's very liberal because that's what liberals be doing. They be invading other countries. They be toppling other governments. And it's from my understanding about Trotsky is that he wanted in the 1920s and the early 30s for Stalin to essentially invade Europe after the failed communist revolts in the Weimar Republic. But
Right.
Stalin knew, one, it is anti-Marxist to force Marxism on people, and two, they were just not in the condition to be able to do that.
No, not at all. And I mean, in a sense, you could look at it as like a colonial socialism. I mean, it almost is. I mean, imagine this, right? I mean, if like communists already didn't have a bad rep, if Trotsky actually went through with his plan, I'm pretty sure like a lot of the world wouldn't even be socialist because they're invading countries. They're going to be, they're not educating people on class consciousness, on, on class. Period. I mean, they just kind of want to steamroll into these countries and force a revolution, and it just wouldn't work. It'd create more enemies than it would allies. I promise you. I mean, a lot of the indigenous people to those lands will most likely turn nationalist for the lands that they live on, and we want people to be internationalist, not nationalists. So I
Right.
think that would create more enemies. I mean, there's probably an alternate universe where Trotsky did, you know, succeed in this, but it's though that world is probably 2 times more shit than this world, and
Right.
it's pretty bad here already. We need help. Someone please
Yeah,
resurrect Stalin.
please. We need you. We need you now. We need you today. We needed you yesterday. Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested, but I'm not interested in knowing like what was the argument that they proposed for like Mao and Fidel not being communist because like what? Because they killed people.
Yeah, basically. They used words like I think dictator and authoritarian, um, which is like I people don't like it, but I typically call it a liberal idealist fallacy because a lot of times it's liberals using it or people who are unintentionally acting like liberals and they call themselves leftist communists, and a lot of times they'll end up spewing imperial core propaganda about these people, and so. Um, And basically, every time a liberal debates the word communism, they always conflate it with the word totalitarianism and with fascism. So you can't debate the word authoritarian without misrepresenting it because of the bad rep that it has. I mean, don't get me wrong, authoritarianism, in my opinion, isn't inherently like bad. I mean, I think we need to be authoritarian towards the capitalists, towards landlords, towards class traders, and the working class should be authoritarian towards our enemies because we are the only class trying to abolish themselves. And so, oh, my bad, I
No,
didn't
I'm
mean to
here.
say
I
that.
really like you said this before, but I really like how you phrase it. Like we are the only class attempting to abolish ourselves.
We are. I
Um,
mean, the bourgeois, they want to stay in power. They like to keep people ignorant of what class is, of what, and they even like spread that whole um lower class, middle class, and like things like that. And it doesn't matter what class you are. You're either working class or you're not. Honestly, I mean, you're the working class or you're a capitalist, and not a lot of us are capitalists. I mean, majority of us are working class. And no matter how much you think you're a capitalist, just remember you're a worker, delusional worker with Stockholm syndrome. And if you want some Rex or something, or come follow and listen to the collective because I mean we got some shit to spit, man.
there you go. There you go. No,
Yeah.
100%. I agree. Um, I think a lot of workers tend to think, and again, it's almost not their fault in a lot of ways,
Right.
but a lot of workers assume that because they are part of the, no, I'm sorry. A lot of workers assume that if they accumulate just slightly more than the guy before them, that they are capitalists. If they
Hmm.
have $10,000 in the bank, or if they, have a really good credit score. Like you doing slightly better than other peasants doesn't absolve you from being a peasant. You don't own any capital.
Right. Exactly. And a lot of people even like to think, and this is a touchy topic too, because a lot of people think that just because they're landlords that they're part of the capitalist class. They're technically still there. I guess they would be more of a lumpen proletariat. They're not part of the working class. They abuse the working class. They take advantage of the working class. They use the working class hard earned money every single week that they have to pay every month. They use their fucking money to pay their mortgage off, and they could just kick back and not worry about any stressful things in life. I mean, they probably have some stresses, but who gives a shit? They're landlords, right? I mean, they're not good for nothing. They don't really provide anything. And like I got an argument with this gentleman. His name, he was a rad cap. This is my first time. So I've heard of ANCAP, anarcho capitalist, and I've never heard of a radical capitalist. And this gentleman was just trying to argue that when people make money, they go and they either keep their money and spend it on consumption material stuff and consumerism, I meant, or like they will invest it back into like a property, like a house, and then they'll buy multiple houses. And he thought that owning multiple houses made him a capitalist, but I doubt he didn't own any houses. He looked about my age, if not younger, and I'm sure his family were like their landlords because he was really arguing for that landlord argument. And I mean, either way, like Rasputin said, all landlords are parasites. I agree, and
absolutely,
they all need to get mauled.
Mm-hmm. They all got to get the wall. That's really how it goes. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it can get really sad sometimes when you're trying to like de-radicalize, your fellow workers, and they just don't. They can't seem to get past that, slight initiative. Especially simping for their boss or simping for the capitalists that, they're enamored in these kind of so-called freedoms that they have. But really, I mean, what freedoms do they have? They don't have the freedom to live a life free of debt. They don't have freedom to really pick where they work. A lot of people don't have freedom to be able to buy the kind of food they want. A lot of the times it all depends on how much money does the person really have at their disposal, and all that comes from the wages that they earn. And most people barely earn anything because most people can't even afford an education. So really, in a lot of ways, what is freedom?
Right, exactly. And I mean,
all the TikTok people, come to YouTube and come debate. Link in bio.
Right, link in bio. They can't hear you, by the way. I got you in my headset. But come to the YouTube chat. Oh, you got your own going? Hell yeah. See, we got that going. All right. But yeah, I mean, most definitely. I think, and that's one thing too, is that I will say this is that what I know about Trotskyism is, minimum. What I have heard and what I've seen from other Trotskyists they honestly almost have the same positions as anarchists sometimes. They usually, minus the hierarchical stuff, but like, some Trotskyists are anarchists. And like, the thing is that like, I don't hate all anarchists. Like, I don't like there's anarchists out there who are principled and who are understanding of Marxism, Leninism, and they understand that when it comes down to the revolution, and these are the ones I like. When it comes down to revolution, we need to work together, and we can figure out this bullshit afterwards. I mean, that's just kind of like how it goes. I mean, and like to the ones who are anti-tanky, and there are some out there anti-authoritarian and stuff.
Right.
Give us a shot. I mean, that's all I can really say is that I don't really want to scare any anarchists away. I'd rather educate them and have like a civil discussion. But like the second I could call the red fascist tanky or something, I almost instantly write that person off, which is why I respect. Shout out to this person, Saint. I mean, if you're watching Saint, shout out.
You got love for him. Come such a long way.
Oh, they have, and really proud of. I'm really proud of Saint, and he's or they. I apologize. They are educating other anarchists and are educating other leftists who are anti-authoritarian, anti-USSR, so on and so forth. That's why they have my utmost respect. They honestly, they will be comrade for life. I'm a little bit iffy on the anarcho-Stalinism, but I mean, it has Stalinism. Shit, sign me up. So
he's just being curious when he says that. But
right.
sorry, they say that. But right, like you were saying, like I was saying in the video I made the other day about anarchists when the baby leftist asked me, is there more room for anarchists in communist spaces, Marxist-Leninist spaces? And basically, what I said to them was, the best anarchist is, in a lot of ways, a Marxist-Leninist. Is somebody who understands what needs to happen, what needs to be done, what are we about to do, in order to sort of bring about the withering away of the state. But an anarchist who goes in with the immediate red bashing, the immediate, fascist rhetoric, the immediate calling us a fascist, calling, Stalin, whatever, a fascist, like it doesn't, that's the thing, and it really goes to show you where their political education is at, because a lot of people, we were talking about authoritarianism earlier, a lot of people equate things that they don't like or things that are scary with fascism, instead of understanding that fascism is a real material thing. It is the combining of state and corporate power. It is the false revolution that I always talk about. I really got to do an essay about that, because I say in it, but I really got to do something about a false
real
revolution.
Quick, brother. If anything, let's go live together on TikTok too. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure folks could hear us.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and I'll just turn it down so that it won't echo or anything. I think that's more ideal, because then I still have some folks in my live, and I'm sure they would like to hear what you have to say also. I mean, if you guys get the chance,
I can use my start using my AirPods again like a real champagne socialist. So yeah, switch it over.
Freaking champagne socialist over here. Yeah, I sent you an invite on the Tiki.
All right. So while we do that, let's look at some comments real quick. Want to read that out loud while I do this?
Did you guys see the protests of landlords who were partying, being able to evict tenants? It's long past we play nice with monsters. No, for sure. I believe Comrade Cruz had a story about he had some landlords in his vehicle, and they were just talking and joking about how they evict the poors and things like that. And it's crazy. It's nasty how they feel. And it's really disappointing to basically to hear what even coworkers have to say about houseless people. Sometimes it's like really disgusting. I was disgusted at work. I had to say something.
I remember you told me.
Yeah, and they were like, I'm pretty sure they were either like liberals. Honestly, I really couldn't tell, because they really liked rainbow capitalism. So some of them did. So I think they're like liberals, centrist liberal, maybe conservative, but they were all almost agreeing basically, like, oh well. And they were even talking about single mothers on welfare. They're like, oh, I can't stand single mothers on welfare. All they do is use the government and take drugs, and they don't even take care of their kids. Like, listen to yourself right now. Do you not hear yourself? That don't you think if you hear somebody else saying that, you don't? I mean, obviously they'll probably agree and be like, yeah, kill the poors. I'm joking, but I'm sure that's what they're thinking. I mean, it's really disgusting. I remember one time I had to intervene, and I was like, well, you have to think about it. A lot of these folks either when they become houseless, they lose everything, right? People will lose their social security. They don't have an ID. You need an address to get a job. You need a home address to get a job. You need an ID. You need a social security card. And if you don't have any of that, then you're almost kind of fucked. And then they don't make it easy to get back. I mean, if you lose it once, and it's kind of really hard to get back. You could do it, but it's like people have road stops like that get in their way. I mean, and also you got to think about the way they were brought up. Maybe they didn't have a family that wasn't wealthy enough, and things like that come into play. And I remember I had to tell them that, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm this one freaking lib. I know they were lib, green haired lib. I'm just kidding." But they're well, I used to be poor, and I worked for everything that I got today. I'm like, no offense, and shout out to because it was a retail job. I'm like, shout out to retail workers, they're workers, and they make shit happen. But I'm like, I'm like, you're working retail right now, and you could barely afford to pay rent and under capitalism. Like you even say that yourself. You could barely afford to pay rent. Maybe it's not their fault. Okay, maybe it's the system that we live under. And like, yeah, it's almost disgusting to
Yeah,
hear what some folks have to say about unhoused people. I mean, me being because I told them too. I'm like, I used to be homeless. Like when I was a kid, and
yeah,
I lived in a car with my mom. Me and my
yeah.
siblings, weeks on end, and just couch surfing. So
No,
I take that shit usually personal because I've been
right.
to food centers. I used to hate going to thrift stores, and now it's a trend. And I also
Mm-hmm.
still
Mm-hmm.
thrift, but I used to hate going to thrift stores when I was a kid. I don't know why.
Yeah. There's
And
actually there's actually a petite bourgeois woman who runs a store by me. I don't want to say the name. I don't want to get doxxed, but she's actually pretty low key a comrade. She even has like, this big picture of Che Guevara in the store, and like we talked about that a lot. And like she's a business owner in the sense like she's doing the labor. Like it's just her and like one other person who helps her sometimes. So like she is still involved in that labor process, and she
mhm.
gives out mad stuff like for free, like mad clothes, mad whatever. So shout out to my homie if you're watching. But anyway, yeah, no. So like myself, I've talked about this. Like I've never been homeless, but I did live in a pretty bad situation for a while, like right as I was getting into 11, 12, 13. And I remember having to sleep on the floor. I remember not having heat in the house. I remember not having electricity and just doing barely enough. My mother, God bless her, to really get us out of that situation. So like if it was terrible then, I can only imagine what it's like to have a child living in a car. You know what I mean? But let's get through some
Mhm.
comments because they keep going. Rasputin, I
Mhm.
can hear you, Ivan. Shout out Rasputin. Phantom Reaper. Oh, what did I do? Anarchists or trots don't get along as well as anarchists and MLs from what I've personally seen. It depends. It really depends on the ML. It depends on the anarchist.
Mhm.
Off the
Mhm.
cuff, I'm pretty suspect of anarchist, but like I do say, Phantom Reaper, the best anarchist is somebody who is more Marxist-Leninist than an anarchist. Best Marxist is a little bit more anarchist than Marxist-Leninist. It all depends on the end goal and what we're trying to achieve and understanding what we're trying to achieve.
Well, ultimately, I really like. That's why I really like Saint's stance on it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a little bit of both worlds, and if you think about it, both ideologies almost want the same outcome. I mean,
that's what I'm
Marxist
saying.
Leninists just have a different way of going about it. They have a science, they have theory in place to go about it. Personally, don't know too much about anarchist theory. I know a lot of it is if you want to know how to be, really good at organizing when it comes to mutual aid and stuff like that, then sure check out some anarchist books. But a lot of the times I recommend. This is what I always say: is theory is good. It's fine, right? But like people should go out and organize in a community and then read theory and apply that to their community also. I mean, it's good to learn it and even like just because a lot of people don't have that. I guess a lot of people are in small towns. A lot of people suffer from really bad social anxiety. I could relate to that, and it's okay. Or they're disabled. They can't go out. They're in things like that. So I mean, that's why if you can do those things, organize online and subscribe to Collective if you
Shout out to
can,
Collective.
because that helps. But believe it or not, it helps. All the support means everything. Thank you to
We
all.
never actually said it on the line before. We should correct that tomorrow, but I'll start like really like shout out to the homies. There's almost 200 of you guys now, guys, gals, MBs, whoever. Thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you for
Yes, thank you
watching.
to
Y'all who are
everybody.
in here right now. We got 4 in here, 7 over there. So let's go.
Hmm.
Come over to the
Hmm.
YouTube. To
Hmm.
Saint is a legend. Shout out Saint. We should send them this clip. Send them this clip. Saint helped me a
Yeah.
lot. Uh, Everyone
Yeah.
knows
No.
champagne socialism is iPhone. I'll do you one better. I'm using an iPad and an iPhone.
Damn.
Damn,
My
angles
quality on
over
my Google
here.
Chrome is horrible, but my iPhone looks
I'm
great.
just
That's
glad you're
why.
not lagging though.
No, I'm glad I'm not lagging either. I think I need to cut down the light because that is brutal.
Let's see. We groom by culture, media, fear monger. If you're lazy, that you deserve it. They groom it to be They groom it to be violent to their fellow comrades. You need money to fuel to get employment. You sure do. Anarchist is more grassroots organizing and getting real people to get involved. Uh-oh. We got a troublemaker.
Oh,
We got a
hey,
troublemaker. You
Lair
want to
Bear.
come on? I sent the link in the Discord. Let's go. Come play. And we got a bunch of hearts. Thank you, Rasputin Czar. We got a homie here on the TikTok. Come over to YouTube. Come hang out. Come comment. But yeah, I mean, to kind of just round about what you were saying, people are indoctrinated to the point to really hate anybody. And ultimately, I mean, it's more than just houseless people. I know that was the main topic, but like anybody, foreigners, black people, gay people, whatever. And let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna get mad, but you know what I do for a living, and when I work my admin job, and I work with mostly older white people, they tend to be saying crazy stuff. So you know how I made that video? It's all right, Larry, no worries. Just saying hi. Shout out Comrade Larry. He's a G. Very wise. He's gonna talk about some real stuff tomorrow. Talk about what it was like organizing 20 years ago. We're gonna do a whole thing tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, about kind of a touch on like our origins as leftists, or sorry, Marxist-Leninists, but like how the environment has changed over the last 20 years, because collective is all different ages right now. So I think that'd be really cool to talk about. Anyway, so let me tell this story real quick, Muerte. Anyways, so let me do this. Capitalism is by far the best of any system at indoctrination. It's actually incredible how effective they are with propaganda. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
it's crazy.
They are. And that's why what we're doing here is so difficult, and that's why you have such violent reactions and reactionaries, is because when you start to make sense, you are challenging people's entire reality. Everything they know, every interpersonal relationship, every job they've ever had, every opportunity they've dropped the ball on, every time they've got lucky, you are really fucking with their ability to understand the world. And they have this animalistic reaction to you. So to be a good Marxist, if you're trying to talk to a close friend of yours or a coworker and they have that reaction, you try to gauge with them, see if they'll come back around as you start to talk about this kind of stuff again. But ultimately, we can't force people, and two, some people's minds already been made. But that's why it is so difficult. But Muerte, let me tell you this story. So, like I said, my admin job is mostly older white people. And I was in a room with a bunch of them, and Hispanic Power Hour. That's what we should call this, Hispanic Power Hour.
That's fire.
Right. But basically, I had one of my coworker colleagues was about to talk about getting work done on their house, and she looked right at me and went, and then started saying, I need to hire some Mexicans and da da da. And then they just started talking to each other about hiring Mexicans. And what they're saying is positive, right? They're saying like it's
backhanded compliments.
like backhanded compliments, like they're good workers and and they work better than any Americans. I had to pop off. I had to give it to them. And it was the same day I made that video, bro. So like, I mean, it's like inshallah, like everything just like went in motion. And I was like, hey, those people work that hard because they're desperate, right? And I kind of just went on this whole tangent about like these people work so hard because they're desperate, because it's an active brain drain coming from these countries. These are people who are lucky enough to be educated sometimes, who are engineers, who are doctors, who are psychologists, who have to come work these jobs. Like, these people don't just come here with dreams of being a carpenter, just being a roofer, or a landscaper. Like, they come to this country because it might just be slightly better in the imperial core than it is in the imperial periphery. So I kind of went on this whole diatribe, and they were kind of just looking at me like, oh, sorry. But like, even though what they were saying was backhanded compliments, it's still the indoctrination. It's still people being told to dislike the other person. And that's the thing, and that's the problem with liberalism, because these people are relatively liberal. So they believe what they're saying is objectively correct and morally good, but they fail to understand why those people are here in the first place.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the times those people are here in the Imperial Core because of what the Imperial Core did to their country, to their homeland. I mean, I think everyone's well aware of the trouble that the United States has caused in Latin America, and you know, it's been horrible. And the thing is that like um, I mean, I think everyone knows that Hispanics, Mexicans are hardworking people. Like, we even have racial slurs. The W word. I've been called. It's funny because the W word. If you don't know, I'm gonna give you like a sugar coated version because you know this is going on YouTube and it's on TikTok. But I was called a waterback and things like that. And I think you know we even have slurs about how hard we work, and that's crazy. That's crazy. But you know that's the thing with liberalism also is because they believe they're like, well, they believe okay, well, I'm not a Trumper, so I'm a good person, right? But that's the thing is they still have that in like that white supremacist almost like mindset in a way. And like I'm not saying that all white people are inherently racist. Not people aren't born racist. It's their material conditions that cause them to be racist. Living under capitalism, living under a white supremacist system and country causes people to be racist. I mean, that's why I really disagree. That's why I really can't stand when people of color are fascists because they are unironically upholding white supremacy. Although they believe in supremacy for their own race or ethnicity, they are still upholding white supremacy, spewing the same almost propaganda and almost the same doctrine, keeping it alive. And it's backwards, and it shouldn't be a thing. They will still get the brick if they are openly fascist.
For sure. I'm gonna pop up some comments while we get our new guest situated. Rasputin Czar, I definitely feel this 100%. I know my parents feel that way. I know I feel that way. Hi, cutie. And I also did not know that you're Mexican and Guatemalan because, like, same, bro.
W.
So, you know,
I'm Mexican. He's Guatemalan. Are you both Mexican and Guatemalan?
Yeah. So if you do my whole fucking DNA thing, bro, I'm from all over the place, but
Right.
it's pretty much
Yeah.
up and down Latino America.
I'm sure we both are. I mean,
yeah. But I say Guatemalan because that's where my parents are from. But it's only like how much far removed. You know what I mean? Some Hispanic people get really mad when you talk like that, but be fucking for real. Cutie, what's going on?
Yeah, what's up, cutie?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Sure can.
Okay. I'm like mid workout right now. I was actually listening on YouTube, and I was like, why not?
I hope we were helping you get in those gains, bro.
No, you guys were impeding my gains. I just kept being like looking at my phone.
We're just too distracting, giving you too much whiz.
No, for real.
Welcome. Come hang out, go whatever. I'm happy you're here. Let's say shout out to the brain. What's going on, little brain? You worked lately? Did you been posting? I'm gonna throw a link on here later. Like fire, absolute fire. Good for you.
Oh yeah,
love to see it.
We support, comrade. Keep up the revolutionary music. We need more of that shit. And none of that freaking talking shit about working class people eating hotcakes and shit. All right.
Fucking Oliver Anthony, little bitch. Anyway, Phantom Reaper. That's not what inherently means. White people are inherently racist. Part of what inherently means is a characteristic way. Characteristics can be unconditioned or unlearned. The phrase white people are inherently racist refers to the fact all white people are indoctrinated into the system of racism through propaganda, media, education, etc. So I would say yes, primarily, white people, but it's also anybody living in the United States, anybody born in the United States, anybody who's exposed to this society, because this society is founded on white supremacy. This society is found on genocide. Sorry, Muerte, go for it.
No, yeah, I just want to respond to that. I think you might have misheard me. Maybe you didn't, but I said white people aren't inherently racist. They aren't born racist. But yeah, I think you got it right. So never mind. I think maybe I misread it. Usually like white folks. That's one thing too is that people of color have to decolonize themselves, but white folks have to too. And honestly, like it might be harder for white folks to decolonize because some white folks have never even interacted with people of color. Like some people live in small towns and they probably hired some Mexican guy to do their lawn or something, and that's just holding that's just keeping stereotypes alive. And like and maybe not even that. I mean, there's still some small towns where there's handyman and there's white people doing the work and shit. A lot of those small towns are hardworking people. I mean, I think we should be wanting to reach out to them and reaching out to big cities. I mean, I think it's important to reach out to all of the working class. I mean, Republican or Democrat. I say that, but I say if you're like if you're like extremely reactionary. I mean, we love people who know how to grow and learn and decolonize and unlearn certain behaviors, unlearn stereotypes and so on and so forth. But like if you're like a fascist and you're an adult and you kind of are cemented in an idea, it's probably too late for you. That's a hot take, I guess, with some folks. I mean, I understand if you were a little kid, right? I understand if you're like a little kid, you're being edgy on TikTok, 14 years old, fine. All right, you grow up and you learn. But if you're like, I mean, I say maybe if you're like at least 20 and up, 18 and up, and then you're like a fascist openly or you believe in these ideals, I feel like it's maybe almost too late. I mean, maybe that's too long, maybe 22. I don't know. See, that's the thing is that
Yeah.
like that's me is like I've never went through that phase. Like I almost went down the far right pipeline, but I've never been a fucking fascist or a Nazi, and it's so hard for me to even like accept that. I mean, like a part of me wants to instantly be like, no, I don't care if you were 14 and a fascist, but that's almost like pushing it, you know? I mean, so like maybe they were kids, they need to learn, and like
Yeah.
that's a hot take, I guess, from most
Again,
people.
again, it's what are we doing here? You know, we have to look at things materially all the time, and 14-year-olds are children, and I would even argue,
Hmm.
with three males in alive right now, male puberty doesn't stop until 25.
Hmm.
So, who somebody is at 20 versus 25 as a male can be drastically different. So,
Right.
I I would be more inclined to forgive a 19, 20-year-old who was going down that pipeline as opposed to like a 30-year-old. Like,
Right.
not like, no. Like, you knew what you're
Right.
doing, but I don't know, maybe that's too hot take.
I mean, being a person of color, we will keep an eye on you. I mean, even that we will. You probably won't even gain my trust 100%. Honestly, if like
Yeah.
someone admittedly is like, "Yeah, I used to be a fascist and shit. Now I'm a communist." I mean, honestly, you should probably keep that. You should probably die with that. Honestly, because if I find out, or if any people of color, or, people around you organize with finds that out, I automatically I bet you money they're not going to trust you, and it's going to be harder for you to get even organized in your community because of how the reactionary views that you held before. I mean, that's like taboo, and that's one thing that I really hate was people conflate communism with fascism. That's one thing that drives me crazy. We're not ashamed of it. We're here out and open with we're Marxist Leninists. Cutie, if you guys get us to 1,000, you guys could get a face reveal, and trust me, he is a cutie. But
Hmm.
you know what I mean. I mean, so
He was
that's a
prepared.
part one. That's a part
Mm,
one.
right.
No, I mean,
I
see, you
think,
got the weight like right here.
Nice. You hitting the squats?
No, I'm doing arms.
so did
Nice.
you just
Arm
have
day.
that on you? Are you in your
Have
room?
what? Yeah, I'm in my room.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know, maybe. Oh, right, right, right. I remember your school situation. I was like, cutie, you just carry that with you, like the mask. Um, no, but I remember now. Yeah, yeah. Jeez Louise, let's go through here. Man, you guys in the comments are popping off both sides, TikTok and YouTube. My Mexican side, be more progressive, and my side, reactionary, conservative, religious. I'm sorry. Both my parents are low key based. They're not communists, but like I was kind of like trying to test the waters with them recently, and I was like, "Yeah, mom, they really like shit on Fidel and Che," at Mao and Stalin for just trying to feed people, and she's like, see me, and I'm like, oh shit, like, all right, base mom. But both my parents, they were, I shouldn't say involved, but they left Guatemala due to the civil war that was going on. Let's see what we got here. It's white people globally, not just the states. Correct.
Correct.
And red pilled. BRB
The true
outside.
red pill.
I hope you figured that situation out. The only solution is, and I can't say that on TikTok. Oh my god. I can't post this comment on the live. We'll get zapped, but I'll point it out to you later. It's from Larry. You know what you're doing.
I see that comment.
Yeah. What he's saying is we should play water tag with water guns, and to get points, you gotta get them right here. That's what he's saying. My daddy over here on TikTok saying the only solutions are illegal. Correct. All right.
Yes.
I don't know. It's definitely.
And also, just to be clear, okay, we're not advocating or calling for violence on these live. This is all in Minecraft. Okay.
Yes.
And
this is a big joke.
True American patriots, guys. Just to go
You're
with
darn
it.
tootin', brother. Oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, like,
can I get me a
like,
communist Ford F-150, brother? Hell yeah.
I got a 25-inch lift on my truck, brother.
I like
but honestly,
CP.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like how my the CPO at one of the companies I work for, dad drives a Ram 500 or whatever the fuck it's called, massive truck, and it's like an office job, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, and his other car's a Tesla, so that's who they are.
And like, one thing too is that to bring it back to like conservatives, I mean, so like, if you could like help them unlearn a lot of the reactionary viewpoints and talking points that they have. I mean, a lot of them could make decent comrades if they're principled Marxists and stuff. Obviously, need to be educated and gain class consciousness, but like a lot of them are anti-establishment. A lot of them are, they already anti-liberal. I mean, shit. I mean, the thing is that like I believe we should get the Marxist-Leninists should get to them before the MAGA communists do, because the MAGA communists is only going to give them a place to keep those reactionary views, but just to rock with the communist aesthetic, because believe it or not, they're not communists. They aren't. If you see like some of the things that they are calling for, it's crazy, bro. None of it is based in Marxism, Leninism. It's crazy. No. I forget what they were, but I remember we were reading it, we were clowning on it. It was hot shit. So like, I think if Marxist Leninists, like, actual Marxist Leninists getting, or even just Marxists, just reaching them first before these, the Twitter, CIA assets get to them, then that's a win, honestly, because surprisingly, I've had a few comrades who told me they used to be conservative and obviously probably used to have reactionary views, but don't anymore. I mean, and like there must have been kids, youngers, plus they have parents, family who are all probably conservative. And so, I mean, that's the thing too, is that it's not only a white thing. It's the thing with in Mexico also. My father, he was from the countryside. And he was like really conservative, religious, traditional, like conservative Mexican type of guy. He wanted me to like get a wife strictly from Mexico so that she could clean and wash the house and all this like gender roles bullshit that like I have kind of already like dewired inside my brain. So it's kind of all bullshit to me. I love to cook and clean and all that. I mean, I got that from my mama. But he was also like, he was reactionary. I've heard him say some crazy shit. And that's kind of one of the reasons I don't have a relationship with him now. It's been since 2015. Honestly, if I see that dude, I will hold myself back, but I probably want to knock him out, not gonna lie. But he looks just like me, just way older. So it's just a not based version of Comrade Muerte. And I don't know what he would like him now. See, that could have been me in an alternate universe. If he would have taken me and my siblings back to Mexico, I probably would have been some like fucking reactionary ass, like, you know, conservative Mexican, you know, or some shit.
I mean,
And
it's
The bad ending.
it's the
bad
bad ending,
ending.
but it's also easier to fall into that trap than you would expect. Even in the last couple months doing this thing with you guys, I feel like I've been way more based, way more principled than I have been. And I mean, even when we were first starting about getting these things together, like I fully admitted it, and this is why I clown on Eddie Lagersmith so much because it's cathartic to me. Because I was Eddie Lagersmith stan, 100%. Because when I got on TikTok and saw people talking about theory, I ate that shit up, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
thankfully, I took Marxism seriously and became principled, or at least I strived to be principled and materialistic. And I realized rather quickly, you know, like,
Facts.
hey, this guy is not, he's not who he says he is. He doesn't mean what he's saying. Um, Never mind the stuff I've bitched about, like, oh, the school, the money, whatever. Get your bag, I get it. But, like, be upfront with your scam, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And I mean, like, that's one thing too is that, like, all right, get the bag, trying to educate people. But the thing is that, like, um, I always see him pandering to the people who aren't critiquing him. Eddie is horrible at receiving critique and learning. He simply thinks he's only getting attacked. Trust me when you say you used to be Stan. I used to be a giant supporter, right? And this is a fun fact about Muerte lore. I actually used to be a mod for his fucking Discord server, and you know, I was a straight Stalin in there. I've banned a few people from the server, and all that. And so I left basically the time when all the Patstocks started joining, and they would all join, and then basically they would get banned and blocked, and then so they would go on Twitter and they'd be like, "Hey, all these lefties on your Discord server canceling me," and then, you know, he was trying to go with like, okay, let's try educating and people, like, please don't think people are automatically evil, but a lot of these folks almost have like they're like super homophobic, anti-LGBTQIA, anti-land they're almost anti-indigenous. I mean, a lot of the times when it comes to creating united socialist states or whatever the fuck, indigenous people and like people of color aren't really in the fucking topic. I mean, it doesn't seem like it to me, and that's why, like, motherfuckers need to read on the national question. But that's a topic for another day. I think I already spewed enough about that. Go read it. Go read it. My iPhone looks so much better. I
Well,
look like
they are Pat socks and Nazis,
right, right,
so they're going to be like super ethnocentric about everything that they're talking about.
right,
Yep.
right. And then like they
Exactly.
always pull that, like, well, what about white people? What about the white people here and stuff like that? And like the thing is that, like, if you actually and the thing is that, like, if you studied like land back from like a Marxist perspective, it's not the same as like what a liberal would say, probably, because a liberal will probably be like, all these crackers got to go. But the thing is with us is that, like, white people don't have to go. People just got to have their own self determination. They have to have their own, you know, they have to choose their own way, right? They can't just, you know, if you can't just
Which way
create a
was meant.
socialist, right? Exactly. You can't just create a socialist state and expect these nations to allow that. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, if you were a principled socialist, you would give people the self determination or autonomy, if they call for it, if they want it. And now that's how it was in the Soviet Union. A lot of people don't believe that, but like, you
Yeah.
know, if people wanted to secede at the time, a lot of the countries joined. Like, I watched a video today about a country that was a part of China, but when China lost Mongolia and that country, I forget the name, they were, you know, independent countries. And then eventually that country started warming up to the USSR and joined the Republic. They didn't get like, the USSR
Yeah,
wasn't like, you're a part of us now. They like, we want to
it's
join you guys.
it's
Taval, I think.
Tanutuva.
Yes,
That's, yeah, I
yes,
was thinking it was a T. I
yes,
was
yes.
trying to think of the Hawaii format. We'll
Yeah,
see if I
literally.
remember it. No, but you see, Marche, that's the thing. And again, it all goes back to propaganda. Like, you know, these people asked to join, and that is a very foreign concept for Americans. except when it comes to Texas, because the idea that country or independent nations can vote and want to join a bigger nation without being strong armed is just not. I mean, again, it goes back to our ideals of this country. We just simply forced assimilation through,
Mhm.
our wording, through murder, through conquest. All the nations that existed here before the United States expanded were either extinguished or forced into the culture. um, and so, with an example like Yuri was, or like, how do you say it again?
Tanutuva.
Tanner and Tuba.
I they're basically just like, I mean, not to like be super reductionist, but they're like basically just like a Mongolian-ish type people.
Yeah, a
Sure.
lot of
Yeah.
so they always get called like Chinese or like Mongolian, but a lot of them are like ethnically, or most of them are ethnically Russian, I believe, and but it is honestly at the bottom of Russia, and it's one of the poorest areas. But don't let like stereotypes or anything, because a lot of people will talk about how it's super dangerous. They will talk about this place like how they would talk about like a city in an urban city, and they would say
Mm.
some nasty stuff. But a channel that I follow, Real Reporter, actually went there, talked with the people, showed the culture. He even showed nomads that still lived in that area that would still travel and practice their culture and things like that. They even spoke their language, and so like, and then they never got hurt, or not, they never got harmed. It almost reminded me of God damn it, reservations here in America almost. There was obviously like, besides, the thing is that like with the reservations over here is it's far more, they're far more like what's the word,
Retarded.
oppressed. Yeah, well, they're far more oppressed. I mean, the thing is with reservations is that like they get no funding from the state. They are almost kind of autonomous, but they're not. I mean, they never really get fundings. Their lands are horrible. I believe that like they have like the United States like builds a lot of liquor stores there on purpose, and I know that's a stereotype, but I mean it is true. The United States does do that, and they do that in an urban city. I mean, at least in my neighborhood, I'm not in a suburb or anything, so I have a corner store on every block. I have a 7-Eleven on every block. I have a smoke shop on every block. And now we're getting dispensaries on every block. I mean, I usually don't really complain about that. But the thing is that like my city, it'll get like what I live at. I used to live in the west side of the metropolitan area, and that area used to not be the best area. But then they started getting gentrified. We started getting pushed out, and then we started moving, more outside the metro area, and it just keeps happening. Pushing this out, they're knocking down old houses, old liquor stores, and everything, and building these ugly duplexes. They were building there'll be these beautiful old houses that were probably built in like the 30s or 40s, and then they'll just build like this ugly duplex right next to it, and it's just horrible. It just looks disgusting, and it looks almost utopian, and yeah, it's just bad. And the thing is that we have so much potholes here. I'm sure a lot of cities do, though. I wouldn't be surprised. We have horrible traffic. It's we live like I live in Colorado, by the way, for anybody who's wondering. I don't care if anybody knows. You could find that out if you go to my Twitter. But yeah, I mean, gentrification's a new colonization, and it's happening in all the cities, and that sucks. I mean, I forgot how we even got to that. If I'm
No,
rambling, please interrupt me.
no, bro, you're good. I mean, this is what the power hour is about, bitching and moaning. No, but for real, just kind of talking about what's coming on, what comes to the dome. But yeah, I mean, especially in the area that I live now. Well, um, I'm in the upstate New York. So, like, where I was at for about 5 years, I moved 2 years ago now, about 45 minutes from there. So, I mean, just look at a map of New York and you can see how far the Hudson River goes up. You can figure out where I'm at. It's not that difficult. But anyway, so the city I went to college in, yeah, has just been getting, more and more gentrified. They built this whole new like residential and store, like boutique store complex right in the middle of the city. So now all the poors, which are traditionally black and brown people, are now being pushed further
course.
into the inner city. And now everyone's shocked and surprised that crime is getting worse in the city. And people who don't know any better would say, oh, well, the crime is getting worse because this is how these people are, instead of understanding that these people are desperate because there's only going to be so many jobs at fucking Big Lots or Kmart or fucking, the fried chicken store
Yeah.
or the
Kmart's
dispensary.
gone.
So, right. No, there was one in the area. But yeah, exactly. Like these people don't have places to go because if they could have afforded to stay in that area, they would have just stayed in that area. But people don't, conceptualize these kind of things. And it's just wild. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah. And then like a bunch of companies and landlords come in and buy up all the property and just like sit on it while it's completely empty and while there's like tons of homeless people.
Yeah, there's like I gotta look up those prices. Maybe I'll tell you guys what they are tomorrow on the podcast. But like they opened up this new, like I was saying, big apartment complex, and they're really expensive for New York. I mean, like I think the cheapest is 2,050, and then it just goes up from there. And that's like a room. It's just wild.
Sorry, I was addressing the TikToks. I think this strategy is or this method is nice. I like this one. That's until we could go live on StreamYard and TikTok simultaneously. Also,
Get
that
us
reminded
to,
me.
we need 3,000 or so. No, there was another reason why we couldn't do it. I'll have to look into it later. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, that reminded me. I'm gonna create the Twitch tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send all the information to, or maybe
Follow
I'll
us on
just follow us on Twitch soon. I will say this: me and Cutie will be dropping something in the future. Don't know when, but it will be happening. And then also, I mean,
Yeah.
if you guys just want to see us play like video games or react to videos, let us know. We'll pull that Hassan Piker, Marxist Leninist version. If not, let us, just communicate with us. Tell us what you guys want, like long form, short form. We do a lot of educating on our channel, though. A lot of educating. If you want some humor and some jokes, come to our podcast every Tuesdays now, 8 p.m. East Central Time.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, East Central. Remember that.
That's a good plug.
Anything else y'all want to say to round out the power rally?
Well, I mean, I think we could listen to what Cutie, if Cutie has anything to say. I kind of rambled most of the time.
No, you're good. I mean, like with the Twitch, I mean, I do play those map games, Ivan. So I could definitely just like while I'm doing that plus my homework, I could just be like yapping. I could just be yapping about Marxism while I'm
Absolutely. Well,
while I'm growing my
was
country's
saying,
GDP in map game.
well, I was saying, in the group chat, and I'll say it to the folks who are still listening. I'm trying to map out the projects I'm going to work on for the next, probably going to be 2 years, really. They're going to be pretty extensive videos, but I'm working on a series about the intentional liberal propaganda that's put in video games, books, and television shows. So not the first one that's going to drop, but the second one is going to be about the Metro 2033 series, the games and the book. It's going to take me a very long time to get through all that. But I'm excited, and because I'm going to replay the games, I'll probably just end up doing it on Twitch. So the same thing, you want to bullshit about communism while I play this game? Let's do it.
Right. I mean, I think, what would be really fun? I just came up with a genius idea. What we could do is maybe in the future, so we could get more involved with our online community, we could create a Minecraft server and literally just, in Minecraft,
yeah,
just play. I mean, we don't have to actually role play or anything, but I think that'd be kind of cool, is to have a server full of a bunch of collective comrades, and we're just building dope shit. I mean, I don't know if you guys play Minecraft, but I enjoy it. I don't find
I'm a
nothing wrong with it.
goddamn monster, Muerte.
Are you a good builder? I feel like you're a good builder.
Bro, I got 2 modes, okay? I'm taking all your
Lava
shit,
mode.
or I'm living alone on an island that I like turned into like a little paradise where I'm just farming potatoes and I have a dirt shack that I live in.
See, I like doing
very
a
homey.
little bit both of like creating and then doing some exploring. I want to find a seed that has a lot of shit in it, and I like building like big stuff. Like it sounds cringe.
That's what you
I,
Mexicans do. You be
we build
building and
stuff.
wandering.
And believe it or not,
Yeah.
I unironically I do my own landscaping on Minecraft too. I'm not we're not gonna kill any stereotypes around here. I'm living up to them right now, and I make my yard look nice. I'll put like a well and shit. I'm like a champagne socialist on Minecraft. I'll build me like a giant bridge. Back then I used to make like castles and like fucking walls and shit. I remember one time I made like I know this is super off topic too, but I made an attack. I made it like I don't know if you guys ever seen Attack on Titan. I used to be a weeb. All right, and that's one thing too. I'm gonna make a video about that. Yeah, I still do sometimes watch anime, not as much as I used to. Trust me, but that's one thing too. Is the anime community is trash. It's so trash. I don't even want to admit that I watch anime sometimes because it's so garbage. But there's an anime called Attack on Titan, and I was trying to rebuild it when I was a kid and failed horribly. I was horrible at building, but now I'm older. I'm like an architect. I don't even know. I'm crazy. But yeah,
I've
we
been
could always
tempted
do
to
that.
watch it just because of the ending, from what I hear. Gets pretty fash, and I would like to look into that. But
Watch what?
I can't Attack on Titan, but I just can't watch anime. Like I've only watched a few, and the few that I really do like, but after that, it's very difficult for me.
But one reason why I really got into it is because it was part of my childhood. Like when I was a kid and I'd stay up late and watch Adult Swim, I'd watch some Naruto or some Dragon Ball Z, DBZ especially, or some Yu Yu Hakusho or some shit. There was what is that guy with the red hair and he's a samurai? But anyways, it was a bunch of animes I used to watch, and I get it. I mean, for me, part of it is like nostalgia. I watch like some old Dragon Ball fights and things like that. And other than that, like, I got into some new anime like a few years back. I haven't watched anything like brand new since then. There's some bangers though. Trust me. If you get some of these adult themed shows, I used to think Death Note was dope, but then I realized the fucking main character, the protagonist, is literally a eco-fascist. Like, it's crazy. It's because they want to like literally the whole story is they like kill everybody that's like bad. I guess they'll kill like murderers and I think they'll even kill like bank robbers, but they'll even kill innocent people if they're almost caught. And so like they have like a god complex, and yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, we could make a lot of content out of that shit. I mean, but the thing is that we'll probably get fucking raided by a bunch of neo Nazis or something because oddly enough, oddly enough, if you see a girl anime profile picture, that person is probably most likely racist.
For real.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there is an anime that like just came out that you now that you like bring up, I've been like making videos on like games, right? And then you bring up anime, right? There's one anime that just came out that I watched, and every episode of this anime is like kind of just like ridiculous, but the first episode is literally completely about like workplace alienation. Like the whole thing is about this dude just like basically like, and I guess I'll give it away, but it's basically like this dude is working for like this super exploitative company, and like right out of college, like his first day at work basically they're like having him stay after like an extra like 5 or 6 hours. You know, like later in the episode, they're talking about basically like his coworkers are comparing like how much unpaid overtime they're getting, like almost like they're competing with each other. And the episode basically ends with a zombie apocalypse starting, and this dude like having like having been alienated from his workplace and other people for so long, for like the past 3 or 4 years, he's like excited for a zombie apocalypse. He's like hyped. He's like, yes, I don't have to go to work today. It's like, what the fuck?
What was that guy that believed in like aliens and nukes and stuff? What's his name again?
Assad.
Is that it? The guy that like
Yeah.
believes like nuking the planet will create. It could be easier to be, create a communist society. I feel like that would fall in like that ideology. Like folks would be like, honestly, if a zombie apocalypse happened, I feel like that might be low key.
Wait.
This is just a joke. It could be like an anarchist ideology because, like, if a zombie apocalypse happened, we could start our own little communes and shit, and like fucking like like Walking Dead. I guess I don't know. Is Walking Dead anarchist?
Yeah.
Walking Dead is trash.
Walking Dead is definitely anarchist.
Facts.
Is 100% anarchist.
Should we make a video about that? Actually,
We should.
I don't see
we should
why
ask
not.
Evan from Left Projector now.
hey, that's facts. So it's easier to imagine the apocalypse than the end of capitalism, and that's for like a lot of other folks. I mean, communists obviously could see an end to it, but like a lot of folks who aren't, aware, they'll.
All right, y'all. I think I'm rounding out the power over here.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and see, people in the comments believe that also. We will make a video about that actually, and I'm gonna see if Left of the Projector is down to make a video. But I think
All right.
I'm done rambling.
Thanks. Thanks for coming to the Power Hour.
This guy.
Listen to Muerte talk. No, it was good. It was good. All right, y'all. Later, ho.
Have a good one.